Sam never intended to find the shop. He'd been wandering the back streets of the city, half lost in a maze of alleys that seemed to fold in on themselves. The rain came in sheets, turning the pavement slick and shiny under the flickering streetlights. That's when he saw it, Gideon's Curiosities. The shop window was filthy, streaked with grime, but through it, Sam caught glimpses of strange things: old clocks with missing hands, cracked porcelain dolls, and something that looked like a stuffed two-headed fox. It was the kind of place that practically screamed, "Come in if you dare!" Sam dared. The bell above the door jingled a little too loudly, and the musty smell of dust and decay hit him like a wall. The shop was cluttered, every inch packed with items that seemed to lean toward him, watching. "Looking for something in particular?" A voice rasped from the shadows. Sam startled. An old man shuffled forward, thin as a wisp, his skin stretched tight over his bones. His eyes glinted with a strange light. "Just browsing," Sam muttered, though his eyes were drawn to a corner where a life-size marionette hung from thick strings. It was grotesquely beautiful. The puppet had a face carved with almost human precision, its lips slightly parted, its glass eyes too lifelike. Its joints were delicately articulated, and its wooden hands seemed poised to move on their own. "That one special," the old man said, his grin showing too many teeth. "Handcrafted. Gideon's finest work." "Gideon?" "Puppetmaker. Gone now, but his creations, well, they endure." Sam didn't ask why the price was so low. He didn't question the way the old man's smile seemed to widen when he handed over the cash. He just took the marionette home. That night, Sam set the puppet in the corner of his small apartment. It looked absurd there, slouched like a drunk in a chair, its strings limp and tangled. But something about it nagged at him. The eyes. They seemed to follow him as he moved around the room, tidying up, fixing dinner, and eventually settling on the couch. By midnight, the unease had blossomed into something sharper. He covered the puppet with a blanket, but the shape of it, too human, too still, made him feel worse. He went to bed and dreamed of creaking wood and whispered voices. The first sound woke him at 3:12 a.m., a soft scrape, like wood dragging against wood. Sam sat bolt upright, his heart thudding in his chest. The apartment was silent again, save for the faint hum of the refrigerator. He told himself it was nothing, maybe the wind outside, and tried to go back to sleep. The second sound was louder, the sharp clack of something hitting the floor. Sam grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness. He stepped into the living room, and his stomach dropped. The blanket was on the floor. The marionette was sitting upright, its head tilted slightly to the side, its wooden lips parted as though about to speak. Who's there?" Sam stammered, his voice cracking. The marionette's head jerked sharply, its glass eyes locking onto his. "Do you know what he paid for me?" it whispered, its voice a rasping mockery of life. Sam froze. His mouth went dry, and he struggled to breathe. "What are you?" The puppet's limbs twitched, moving as if pulled by invisible strings. Its wooden fingers scraped against the armrest of the chair. "He gave pieces of himself," it said. "His bones, his blood, his soul. And now it's your turn." The words barely registered before the strings moved, winding their way through the air like living tendrils. They wrapped around Sam's wrists, his ankles, pulling him down to his knees. The last thing he saw before the world went dark was the marionette's grin, wide and cruel, as it whispered, "You'll make a fine replacement."